Hello and welcome, ladies. We're here tonight. Sorry, I'm just having some technical issues, which is not unusual. I'm here tonight to talk to you about understanding and managing hormonal anxiety, which is a huge thing for a lot of women going through perimenopause. So without further ado, I'm just checking to make sure everything is going ahead properly. See if you're seeing the right screen. I think you are. Yes. So there we go. Without further ado, my name is Jo Douglas, for those of you who don't know me. I'm a holistic menopause wellness coach. I help women make positive lifestyle changes to embrace perimenopause and beyond with confidence. So today, I'll be talking about anxiety. So whether it's a condition you've already been dealing with that's now intensified when you hit perimenopause, or if it's you've struggled with anxiety all your life and now it's just even worse because of perimenopause. So we'll be talking about that tonight. So anxiety in a nutshell is the body's natural response to stress and perceived threats. So it's a feeling of worry, nervousness, and unease that can be mild and it can be intense. So while occasionally anxiety is normal, it can get us across the road without being run over, that kind of thing. It's also can make us feel overwhelmed. It can interfere with our daily life if we have symptoms like restlessness, rapid heartbeat, poor concentration. It can be things like that, and it can manifest into panic attacks, phobias even. So in our hormonal transition, like perimenopause, we have our fluctuating hormones, which can heighten and trigger anxiety. And like I said, for even those who've never had or suffered with anxiety before. So it often worsens during perimenopause and like I said, can appear for the first time because our hormones fluctuate. Estrogen, one of the key hormones that starts to decrease in perimenopause, it has a calming effect on our brain. So when our estrogen levels drop, it can cause mood swings. It can have an increase on feeling of stress. It can make handling like situations, can make it feel harder when normally we would breeze through it. It can feel like we're out of control. And at the same time, our cortisol in our bodies, which is our stress hormone, can rise, and adding to all this feeling of stress because we haven't got any estrogen to dampen it. So I'll get into that later. So these hormonal shifts can make anxiety worse. And like I said, for even those who've never suffered with anxiety, can all of a sudden feel these feelings. So estrogen has an effect on our serotonin. So estrogen primarily boosts our mood and increases the production of serotonin, which is our feel-good neurotransmitter. This helps stabilize our mood. It promotes feeling of well-being, reduces our anxiety, and it's supporting the brain's serotonin pathways. So our estrogen supports those pathways so that our serotonin can move as normal and help us with all those feelings. So as our estrogen declines in perimenopause, our serotonin levels will also decline. And that will lead to mood swings, irritability, heightened anxiety. Estrogen also has an energizing effect on the body. So when our levels are normal, we feel energized, we're emotionally balanced, we're positive. And this is the reason why when our hormones are fluctuating, we don't have that energy feeling anymore and everything feels heightened. So estrogen and dopamine. So when our estrogen levels fluctuate and decline, it directly has an impact on our dopamine levels too, which is another key chemical that regulates our emotional well-being. Dopamine is linked to motivation and pleasure. Estrogen supports dopamine activity in the brain. So when estrogen declines, dopamine levels drop, leading to this feeling of fatigue, lack of motivation. It sometimes leads into depressive feeling, especially if we're feeling low anyway. It can just really heighten that feeling of depression kicking in. Excuse me, always cough when I'm doing a presentation. So the decline in these hormones causes a ripple effect on the brain's chemistry, contributing to the emotional and mental changes that many women experience during this stage of their life. So I've talked about estrogen. So what about the other sex hormones that fluctuate? So we've got progesterone, haven't we? This plays a key role in our emotional regulation, and in its decline during perimenopause, it contributes to a heightened anxiety and other mood-related symptoms. Sorry. Always. I haven't coughed all day. So, excuse me. Progesterone has a calming effect on our nervous system. So it enhances what we call GABA, which is a neurotransmitter, another one. And GABA promotes relaxation. So I'm going to try and say it, but, you know, I can always try. Autobutyric acid, gamma autobutyric acid. I think that's right. Basically another transmitter that promotes relaxation. So during perimenopause, our progesterone levels fluctuate and then eventually decline. And then this decline can lead to an imbalance in estrogen and progesterone, which affects mood and our emotional well-being. So the lower the progesterone levels, the lower the GABA's levels, which should have a calming effect on you. But this can lead to increased anxiety, irritability, restlessness. Women may find it harder to cope with stress, experience the mood swings again, and also have difficulty sleeping because you're losing that calming effect of the GABA and the progesterone. Big cycle. And then we have testosterone, which can also play a role in anxiety during menopause. So although its effects are often less heightened compared to estrogen and progesterone, testosterone is linked to regular mood regulation and overall well-being. So low testosterone levels can contribute to feelings of fatigue, depression, and may exacerbate anxiety as well. So while testosterone has been shown to have low mood stabilization, it affects during menopause can lead to irritability because we often have, it's happened to me now, it can contribute to brain fog. So you don't have that clarity anymore. So when it comes to things like this, presenting, and then you get that brain fog coming in when your testosterone levels are high, then you're going to get that anxiety. So it has an indirect effect on your anxiety because it's affecting other things, mental clarity and things like that, your cognitive function. So low levels can lessen that cognitive function that's happened to me right now, which produces more cortisol, which then you don't have the estrogen then to dampen the cortisol, and then there goes that spiral again. So while estrogen and progesterone are often the main focus regarding anxiety and perimenopause, testosterone also contributes to it. So you need to balance all three to have the overall well-being during this transitional phase. So cortisol, we just touched on, often referred to the stress hormone, plays a significant role in your anxiety during perimenopause. Cortisol is produced by the adrenal glands in response to stress and has a natural rhythm. So it's usually peaking in the morning and then it slowly decreases throughout the day. And in perimenopause, hormonal fluctuations, especially estrogen and progesterone levels, can disturb this cortisol balance, potentially leading to higher or dysregulated cortisol levels. So here's how cortisol can relate to anxiety in perimenopause. Estrogen and progesterone help regulate these cortisol levels. So when the levels are fluctuate, when your hormone levels are fluctuating, your estrogen and your progesterone, it can make your body's stress response less, so causing your cortisol levels to rise more easily, which in turn heightens your anxiety. So like I said before, if your cortisone rises, you haven't got your estrogen levels and your progesterone levels, which would normally dampen that. So they'll continue to rise. So then your anxiety heightens and everything feels overwhelming. Situations that normally would be like, oh, no problem, oh well, will be like really get you down, like really make you feel anxious about it. So lower estrogen levels can also make your brain more sensitive to cortisol, which amplifies again the feeling of stress. So any minor stresses will be overwhelming. Cortisol affects your sleep. So when your rhythm's disturbed, it can lead to poor sleep, poor quality sleep, increased anxiety while you sleep, creating a cycle that's hard to break. So your morning anxiety is often linked to cortisol because your cortisol spikes to wake you up in the morning. And then normally your estrogen would kick in to give you that calming effect. And when you haven't got that estrogen to kick in, you wake up feeling anxious and you stay anxious. So then it has that snowball effect and you're anxious for the whole day and everything adds up. Cortisol helps to regulate your blood sugar levels. So if your cortisol is high, guess what? Your blood sugar level is going to be off the charts as well, which also contributes to feeling of anxiety, also gives you the jitters when you wake up, and then you're wondering, why have I got the jitters? So then your anxiety is even worse. And again, you get that snowball effect. So in short, during perimenopause, hormonal fluctuations can make your cortisol levels more reactive, and have that natural rise in cortisol in the morning may contribute to morning anxiety. And this can have a compound effect by poor sleep, more stress, and there's the cycle. So physical symptoms. Here's a list of some physical symptoms. Increased heart rate. So feeling like your heart is racing or pounding. You can have a shortness of breath, difficulty breathing, feeling a tightness in your chest, excessive sweating. Even in a non-stressful situation, you could start sweating more. Trembling, shaking, involuntary trembling and shaking of your hands or your whole body even. Muscle tension, so tightening, stiffness of your muscles, often in your shoulders and your neck and your jawline. Fatigue, feeling unusually tired, even if you do have a good night's rest, but you still feel fatigued. That's often a sign of anxiety. Nausea, upset stomach. Your gastrointestinal tract can be really off balance, so your gut health is affected as well. You have that knotted feeling in your stomach. Dizziness, lightheadedness, that feeling of being faint, you know, that feeling you get when you stand up too quick. Well, that can be heightened. Trouble falling asleep, which we've touched on, staying asleep. It can exacerbate your hot flushes or your chills. You can suddenly start feeling hot or suddenly start feeling cold. That's when your anxiety is kicking in. Numbness or tingling, sensation, tingling, numbness in the end of your fingers, your hands, your feet. Chest pain, discomfort and pain in your chest that can mimic a heart attack. Frequent urinization, so you're constantly wanting to go to the toilet. So these symptoms can vary in intensity. They can occur alone, one of them, two of them, lots of them together. And you need to go to your doctors and talk to your doctors about these symptoms and rule out other things, just in case it is even more than anxiety. You need to rule out these things and track your symptoms as well. So if you're feeling any of these, track them down when you're feeling it, how long it's lasting, and then you'll notice if it's related to your hormones. You'll generally notice a pattern on your cycle. So then you've got your psychological symptoms as well. Here's a list of those. So excessive worrying. So worrying about things that really don't need worrying about. Restlessness. So you constantly worrying about stuff. You're being restless. So walking around on edge, feeling of agitation, irritability, an increased sensation of frustration. So something that normally wouldn't bother you at all, like really makes you feel angry and frustrated, difficulty concentrating, trouble focusing on tasks, that foggy feeling I described and showed you. It's not because I'm anxious, but it's just because I've got brain fog, perimenopause, postmenopause for me. Mind going blank, which happens a lot for me on a normal occasion. But if you're going through anxiety and all these symptoms, when your mind goes blank, it can add to it. So you panic more. Oh, what am I trying to say? What am I trying to say? So then again, that whole vicious circle happens. Fear of losing control. A fear that, if you're going to go out, you might get too emotional. You're going to burst into tears with no reason. So then you stop going out. You keep yourself away. You stop meeting your friends because you're always worried that you're going to have a panic attack or you're going to get distressed. And then you will have a panic attack because you're worried about having a panic attack. You see how it goes. Fear of dying is also very common in perimenopausal and menopausal women. Worrying about as soon as they have like a cough or a cold, or say I was coughing now, if I was anxious, I'd be worrying about, oh, what is that cough? I mean, I know it's like a nervous cough because I'm talking on a presentation. It happens to me all the time. But if I was anxious, I could get anxious about it. Oh, why am I coughing? And do I need to see a doctor? Again, that whole trigger. And then a panic attack could then kick in. And then anticipation of things getting worse. What would an outcome be? And then just overthinking things and making things like really big in your head when it really isn't at all. And that's when you start avoiding situations because you don't want it to happen. And then you could get triggered with your anxiety knowing that you've got to go somewhere, but then you fear being isolated as well. And again, that whole vicious circle, overwhelm, sense of being unable to cope with daily demands. And then you start feeling hopeless, and then despair kicks in. And then you have trouble making decisions because then you start worrying about whether you've made the right decision or not and what the consequences might be. And then again, that whole snowball effect. And then you get hypervigilant as well. So you're being excessively alert of threat and danger, something that normally you'd be, oh, that'd be fine. It would be like you'd make up this whole ongoing saga in your head. And then low self-esteem kicks in, a diminished sense of self-worth, often accompanied by a feeling of inadequacy, self-doubt, which then can exacerbate anxiety again. And then there we go, vicious circle. So these psychological symptoms can have a significant effect on your daily routine, can have an effect on your relationships, and then your overall well-being. Oh, I don't think I was on the right one there. Sorry about that. So there's a list of all your psychological symptoms there. Take a screenshot of those. So I think I went through all those ones when I was on the physical. So there's your physical, there's your psychological. And then here's some lifestyle strategies. So managing your anxiety during perimenopause. And you can manage it. It might not feel like you can, and it might be slow steps. But if you do take these steps in the right direction and you've got the support around you, you can manage it during perimenopause. So practicing mindfulness or meditation can help calm. So a lot of people think that that's all a bit woo-woo, but I promise you, it really does help calm your nervous system. It reduces your anxiety by focusing on the present moment and letting go of that anxious feeling, that anxious thought, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes a day of meditation or deep breathing, guided meditation can make a massive difference. Engaging in physical activity, whether it's walking, yoga, swimming, strength training, can all help release your endorphins, which are your natural mood boosters. Exercise also reduces your cortisol level, your stress hormone, unless you're doing like high impact, like aerobics or anything high impact, it has the opposite effect. So this is going to be gentle exercise like swimming, walking, yoga, strength training, a gentle jog, not a fast run, but a gentle jog where you can still speak to someone next to you without losing your breath. And nothing too close to bedtime unless it's yoga. Yoga is the only physical activity that you can do close to bedtime, because again, you want to relax that cortisol, not bring it up. Eating a nutritious, dense, balanced diet. So I always recommend the Mediterranean diet because it's just full of goodness and you get that whole balanced diet of whole foods. Can really help support your hormone regulation. So include plenty of fruits, veg, healthy fats, your omega-3s, limit your caffeine, your sugar and your processed foods because that can really trigger anxiety. Poor sleep can worsen anxiety, so you've got to aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep a night. And you say, well, how am I going to do that when my anxiety is causing me to wake up? So you need some good sleep hygiene. Create a calm and bedtime routine. Avoid screens before bed. Use your relaxation techniques, your deep breathing. Read a book, wind down, dim the lights. A nice warm bath. Stay connected with supportive friends and family online or in communities like this one, where you feel heard and understood. Talking through what you're feeling helps to release that pent-up stress, and it can reduce the feeling of isolation. Writing down your thoughts in a journal or just on a piece of paper, get it all out of your head, do a brain dump. Writing down how you feel can really help reduce your anxiety, especially just before bed. Because anything that you've been worried about, you can just get it out on paper and empty your head. Reducing or eliminating caffeine, alcohol, nicotine, because like I said before, it heightens your body's stress response. Spending time outdoors, whether it's walking in a park or in the forest, by the sea, all have a nice calming effect on your nervous system. It helps reduce your anxiety and promotes relaxation. Practicing breath work exercises such as belly breathing, your body's stress response, and lowers your anxiety levels during the moments of heightened stress. So a good one, there's lots of different methods, but one to remember that's really quick and easy to use when you're out is box breathing. So imagine a box, you can close your eyes, you can do it anywhere. So say if you're in a supermarket and you feel there's a stressful situation, you can just, go and pretend you're looking at the shelves, looking for some baked beans or something. You can close your eyes, deep breath in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4, in for 4.
Sorry?
In this, my teenagers, they're in the house, so if you can hear them, I apologize. And keep that box breathing cycle going. So these strategies won't cure anxiety overnight, but they're definitely going to help. And if you incorporate them into your life, it's definitely going to help you through them and cope with them and improve your quality of your life. And then we've got CBT. So that's cognitive behavioral therapy. So you might need a bit more than just some life changes. And it's a type of psychotherapy that focuses on identifying and changing negative thought patterns and behaviors. So the goal for CBT is to help people develop more positive and constructive ways of thinking and behaving to manage your psychological issues, such as anxiety and depression and stress. So it's based on the concept of your thoughts and your feelings and your behaviors, and changing those behaviors so it can influence the way you react to things. So if you make all these changes that you can by yourself and then have therapy on top. It's really going to help you if you're really suffering. And then we've got HRT. HRT is your hormone replacement therapy, which involves supplementing your body's hormones like your estrogen, your progesterone, and you can also supplement your testosterone. Some places in the country do it, and other places it's a bit harder. But with the natural decline of these hormones, replacing them seems like the obvious thing to do. HRT can help manage your anxiety, and it can help address those imbalances of your estrogen, progesterone, testosterone as they decline as well, which then will help with everything we've talked about, what happens when they fluctuate and decline. It will replace them so that it'll help with your mood swings, your anxiety, your stress, all of those things will come into balance. But don't give up. If you go onto HRT and it's not helping, give it 3 to 6 months to balance itself out. And then if it's still not helping, go back to your doctor, have it tweaked, because there's lots of different people need different HRT, different amounts of HRT. Your dose might be too low, might be too high. So it takes some tweaking sometimes. So don't give up straight away. And then it'll also reduce your physical symptoms like your hot flushes. So then you won't get anxious about having a hot flush. So then it has that whole, where I said you got that spiral effect of going out of control, it'll have the opposite effect, and then everything will feel better and seem better. So the help of all three, your hormones, your CBT, and your lifestyle changes, is all going to help you cope with your anxiety. So I'll leave it there. I want to say thank you for joining me today. Anxiety is such a vast topic, and just to fit it all into 35 minutes, honestly, I could dedicate a whole webinar just to one or two of those coping strategies on their own. But I hope that's made you think about why you're feeling the way you're feeling, why your hormones are related and your neurotransmitters are related, and why it's making you feel like it's not you're not losing it. It is what's going on in your perimenopause. So I hope this made you feel that you're not alone, that there are lots and lots of women going through it. And please keep those lists, go onto YouTube, search up some meditations, make those changes, do your working out, your strength training, change your diet, do all the things you can do to help yourself, because then your quality of life will get better, I promise you. I'll leave it there now, and thanks for joining me tonight. Take care. Bye-bye.